Welcome to Senior Health, where we believe that growing older can mean growing stronger, wiser, and healthier every day. Let me ask you something, and take your time before you answer. When was the last time you said something truly kind? To yourself? Not to your children, not to your grandchildren, not to a friend who was going through a hard time, but to yourself, the person who has carried you through all these years. For many of us, it's been a while. Maybe years. Maybe even decades. 1. When did you stop speaking kindly to yourself? You've spent so much of your life giving love, advice, meals, rides, comfort, answers, direction, strength. But somewhere along the way, it became easier to say nice things to others than to yourself. You became the caretaker, the steady one, the dependable one. And you forgot that even the strong need kindness too, especially from within. You see, it starts so quietly. You make a small mistake and you whisper, "I'm so stupid." You look in the mirror and think, "I look awful today." You feel tired and sigh, "I'm not who I used to be." And those words, so small, so soft, begin to echo in your heart more than you realize. You wouldn't say these things to someone you love. So why have you been saying them to yourself? You deserve better. Not because you've earned it through years of sacrifice or wisdom, but because you're still here, still breathing, still capable of being gentle to the one person who hears your voice more than anyone else, you. There's a quiet kind of healing that begins when we choose to speak more softly to ourselves. When we trade "I'm falling apart" for "I'm doing the best I can." When we replace "I'm just a burden" with "I still bring value to this world." When we look in the mirror and say, "I am still becoming. I am not done yet." If no one has said this to you in a while, let me be the one to do it. You are doing better than you think. You carry wisdom that can't be found in books. You've lived through heartbreak and laughter, through changes and challenges, and you are still standing. That's something to be proud of. And if you feel like you've forgotten how to be kind to yourself, that's okay. This isn't about guilt or regret. This is about beginning again. You can start with just one sentence, one whisper of truth, one act of kindness, from you to you. You've spent a lifetime being the strong one for others. It's time to be soft with yourself. In the next part of our journey, I'll gently introduce you to the power of the voice inside your mind, and how, with just a few simple phrases, it can become your greatest source of comfort, strength, and hope in this beautiful chapter of life. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to begin with a little kindness. And that begins right here. Let's keep going, together. The voice inside your mind, a friend or a critic. Let's continue our gentle conversation, the kind you might have with an old friend over a warm cup of tea. In the quiet moments of life, when the house is still, when no one is asking for your help, when the day hasn't quite begun or is winding down, whose voice do you hear most? It's not your children's, not your spouse's, not even the voice of a doctor or a neighbor or a friend. It's yours. That voice inside your mind, the one that quietly comments on everything, is with you every hour of every day. And whether you realize it or not, it shapes the way you feel about yourself, your health, your future, even your past. Now, ask yourself, is that voice kind? Is it patient, encouraging, forgiving, or is it critical, harsh, quietly disappointed? For so many older adults, that inner voice turns from a companion into a critic, and it doesn't shout, it whispers. When your joints ache and you can't move like you used to, it says, "You're falling apart." When you forget a name or miss an appointment, it mutters, "You're losing it." When you need help with something you once did on your own, it sighs, "You're just a burden now." These aren't just thoughts. They're wounds. They bruise the heart in ways no one else can see. And worst of all, We accept them because we think they're normal. But here's what I want to tell you today, clearly and with care. You are not your mistakes. You are not your limitations. You are not the sum of what you used to do. You are still whole, still worthy, still beautifully human. The voice inside your head isn't fixed. It can be softened, retrained, transformed into something that heals instead of hurts. It starts with awareness. I'd like to give you a small exercise, something gentle. Don't worry, no notebooks or timers required, just presence. The next time you find yourself thinking something critical, like, I'm too old, or I can't do this, or what's the point? Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? Would you look at your grandchild and say, you're failing? Would you tell your closest friend, you're no longer useful? Would you say to your younger self, you'll never be enough? Of course not. Then why say it to yourself? That voice, the one you hear when no one else is listening, can be the most powerful tool in your emotional toolbox. When it's harsh, it drains you. But when it's kind, it builds you up brick by brick until you begin to stand taller, not just physically, but emotionally. Let me tell you about Marvin. He's 78. For most of his adult life, he was the provider, worked construction, fixed everything in the house, never asked for help. But after a fall 2 years ago, he needed a walker. At first, he wouldn't leave the house. He kept saying, I'm not a man anymore. I'm a burden. That was the voice in his head. His daughter gently challenged him. She said, Dad, I don't need you to be the strong one anymore. I just need you. It changed something in him. Slowly, Marvin began talking back to that critical voice. Every time he caught himself saying something negative, he'd pause and say, That's not helpful. That's not kind. Eventually, he started saying different things. Things like, I still show up. I'm still needed. Strength looks different now, but it's still here. He joined a walking group. He goes to the senior center twice a week. He even gives advice to younger men about how to care for their backs and joints. Not because he's pretending to be who he was, but because he's honoring who he is now. That's the power of a changed inner voice. When you begin to speak to yourself with kindness, your world shifts, not all at once, but gently, subtly, like light slowly filling a room. Your smile returns more often. Your shoulders relax. You ask for help without shame. You laugh more freely. You reconnect with others. You try new things, even small ones, without the old fear of failure or embarrassment. And most importantly, you begin to feel safe in your own mind. That's priceless. So how do we begin this change? It's simpler than you think. You don't need to write essays or say mantras 10 times a day. Start here. Choose just one moment, morning, midday, or night. And during that moment, say something to yourself that you would say to your best friend. I'm proud of how far I've come. I may be tired, but I'm still trying. I deserve peace today. You don't need to say it loudly, just honestly. If it feels awkward, that's okay. Most new things do, but give it time. That quiet voice will begin to trust the new message, the gentler one, and over time, it will start to speak that way without being asked. Before we close this part of our conversation, let me leave you with one more thought. You've probably lived long enough to see trends come and go, technology change overnight, and the world spin faster than ever before. But the most important change you can make right now, the one that matters most, doesn't require speed or screens or anything external. It begins inside. It begins with the voice that lives in your thoughts, and learning to make that voice your friend. Because aging isn't about surrender. It's about returning. Returning to the softness, the warmth, the wisdom that's always been inside you. In the next part of this video, I'll walk with you through a gentle, meaningful practice. 5 simple affirmations you can say each day to begin shifting that inner voice toward healing. It's not magic, but it is powerful. You deserve a voice that lifts you up. Let's discover it together, one kind word at a time. A morning of gentle words, how affirmations can shape your day. Let's imagine a quiet morning together, the kind of morning that doesn't ask anything of you. No rush, no noise, just the hum of a new day waking up. The sunlight is beginning to stretch across the floor. The coffee pot is gurgling softly. Maybe the cat is curled at the foot of the bed. Maybe the birds are beginning their song just outside your window. It's peaceful. You stand in front of the bathroom mirror, toothbrush in hand. You look at your reflection, familiar and unfamiliar all at once. You see a version of yourself that has traveled many miles. The eyes are softer now. The skin carries stories. The frame may be a little slower, a little stiffer, but still solid. And here's the choice. What will you say to that reflection? Because you've said many things before. You've said, I look tired. You've said, what happened to me? You've sighed and turned away without a word. But today, just for a moment, you try something new. You pause. You place one hand gently over your heart. You take a breath. And you say, good morning. I'm glad you're here. It might feel strange at first, almost silly. But in that single moment, something begins to shift. Not outside of you, inside. That, my friend, is the quiet magic of affirmations. Affirmations aren't spells. They aren't tricks. They are, at their core, declarations of truth, gentle reminders, statements of possibility. They are the words you choose to believe about yourself and repeat until they take root in your daily life. And the morning is a beautiful time to begin. Why? Because the morning sets the tone. It's like a tuning fork for your emotional state. The way you begin your day, your first thoughts, your first words, your first posture toward yourself, can color everything that follows. Let's return to that mirror. Now imagine you say, I am valuable at every age. Or, I have purpose today, no matter how small. Or even, I am allowed to rest and still be worthy. It only takes 10 seconds. But those 10 seconds ripple outward. You go into the kitchen and feel a little more peaceful as you make breakfast. You sit at the table with a little more dignity. You call a friend, not because you're lonely, but because you feel connected. You take your walk not as a task, but as a gift. You speak to yourself throughout the day with more patience, more softness, more grace. That's what a morning affirmation can do. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about remembering that you are still here and you still matter. Let me tell you about Dolores. She's 81, lives alone since her husband passed 8 years ago. For the first few years after his passing, mornings were especially hard. They had their little routines, a shared cup of coffee, a crossword puzzle at the table, soft jazz playing in the background. Without him, she didn't see the point in any of it. Then one day, her granddaughter visited and left a note on the fridge. It read, "You're still the sunshine in my life." Dolores smiled. The next morning, she stood in front of the mirror and whispered, "I am still someone's sunshine." She said it again the next day, and the next. Over time, she added more affirmations. "I am strong enough for today. My life still has meaning. Joy can still find me." Now every morning, Dolores says 5 affirmations before she starts her day. She writes them on index cards and changes them out each week. She doesn't say them perfectly. She doesn't always believe them fully. But she speaks them with hope. And that hope has brought her mornings back to life. She sets the table again, plays music again, tends to her garden again. Not because affirmations are magic, but because she's reconnected to the part of herself that believes life is still worth living. And you can too. Here's how you can begin. When you wake up tomorrow, before reaching for your phone, before checking the news, before anything else, sit up, take a breath, and choose a sentence that feels gentle and true. Say it aloud, or whisper it, or write it on a sticky note. If you need ideas, try one of these. I greet this day with calm and curiosity. I am more than my aches and pains. I give myself permission to feel peace today. I still have something to offer. I am becoming, not just aging. You might find one that resonates more than the others. Use it for a week. Let it become part of your morning ritual. Say it while brushing your teeth, while stirring your oatmeal, while tying your shoes. Some mornings it might feel easy. Other days it may feel like lifting a heavy stone. That's okay. What matters is that you're showing up for yourself. Remember, affirmations don't need to erase your struggles. They simply remind you that you are more than your struggles. They help you shift your focus from what's fading to what's still possible. They remind you that aging isn't about what you've lost. It's about what you found along the way. Here's another story, this one from Peter, a retired history teacher who felt lost after retirement. He said to me once, "Without the classroom, I didn't know who I was anymore." We worked on one phrase, just one. Every morning, he looked in the mirror and said, "I am still a teacher, even if my classroom has changed." That one sentence helped him start tutoring neighborhood kids. Eventually, he began writing stories about his life lessons and even giving talks at the local library. His identity didn't disappear. It evolved because he let a new truth guide his morning. And that's what I want for you. Your affirmations don't have to be poetic. They don't have to be impressive. They just have to be yours, rooted in your experience, your hopes, your quiet wisdom. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, I want you to remember this. You have survived every version of yourself up to this point. You have learned, adapted, endured, and grown. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are still becoming every single day. Speak to yourself the way you would to someone you deeply love, because you are just as worthy of that kindness. In the next part of this video, I'll share with you 5 of my favorite affirmations for aging well. You don't have to memorize them. Just listen. Let them settle in. Let them meet you exactly where you are and walk with you into the day ahead. Let's continue this journey, one morning, one word, one breath at a time. 5 simple phrases to say to yourself. This week, you've made it here, to the heart of our conversation. So far, we've explored the quiet power of speaking kindly to yourself. We've talked about the voice inside your mind and how it can become either a heavy burden or your greatest ally. We've walked through a peaceful morning together, one that starts not with to-do lists or regrets, but with a moment of self-love. Now I want to offer you something even more practical. Something you can begin using right away, starting tomorrow morning if you like. These are 5 simple affirmations, phrases you can say to yourself each day this week. They're not fancy, they're not complicated, but each one carries a weight of truth and tenderness. Think of them like a warm hand on your shoulder, or a handwritten note from someone who sees your worth. You don't have to use all 5 at once. In fact, I encourage you to pick just one to start with. Say it in the morning. Write it down. Keep it in your pocket. Let it become part of the air you breathe for that day. So let's begin. Affirmation 1. I am enough just as I am today. Not when you lose 5 pounds. Not when your energy returns. Not when the house is cleaner or your memory feels sharper. Today, right now, you are enough. So many of us have lived with the quiet pressure of performance our entire lives. We've felt that our worth was tied to how much we do, how helpful we are, how put together we seem. But what if your value wasn't about effort, but about existence? You are here. You are breathing. You are present. And that, in itself, is enough. The dishes can wait. The phone calls can be returned later. But right now you can pause, breathe, and say to yourself, I am enough, just as I am today. And mean it. Affirmation 2. My age is not a limitation. It is a strength. Every wrinkle has a story. Every scar holds a lesson. Every gray hair is a strand of resilience. It's easy to forget, but age is not something to hide. It's something to honor. Yes, your body may move slower. Yes, things ache a little more. But your age gives you a kind of wisdom that no book, no podcast, no young voice can teach. You've lived through wars and weddings, through births and losses, through heartbreak and healing. You've seen fashions change, cities grow, technologies rise and fall. That experience matters. So the next time you feel behind or unseen or dismissed because of your age, try saying this: my age is not a limitation. It is a strength. It is a gift. Say it while standing tall. Say it even if your back is curved, your spirit still. Stand straight. Affirmation 3. Joy is still possible for me. One of the hardest parts of aging is the quiet belief that our joyful moments are behind us. But let me remind you, joy doesn't belong to the young. It belongs to the open. And joy doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be a vacation, or a party, or something posted online. Joy can be a warm cup of tea in your favorite chair. Joy can be hearing an old song and remembering every word. Joy can be finding a new recipe, or calling an old friend, or walking in the garden and noticing a single blooming flower. So say it with me. Joy is still possible for me. Even on hard days, even when you're tired, even when things don't go to plan. There is still space for joy to return, sometimes slowly, sometimes quietly, but always ready to be received. Affirmation 4. I am allowed to rest. This one is especially important for those of you who've spent your life in service to others. You raised children. You worked hard. You held families and friendships together. And now that you have more time, it can feel strange, even guilty, to slow down. But rest is not laziness. It is healing. It is sacred. It is necessary. You are not required to be productive every hour of the day. You are not here to prove your worth through exhaustion. You are allowed to take a nap. You are allowed to sit and do nothing. You are allowed to rest simply because you are human. So when you feel that old guilt rising up, when you catch yourself saying, I should be doing something right now, pause, place a hand over your chest, and whisper, I am allowed to rest. Because you are. Affirmation 5. I still have something to offer. You may not work a 9 to 5 anymore. You may not drive across town like you used to. You may not remember every detail or move as quickly, but you still carry stories. You still know how to listen. You still have patience. You still have perspective. You still have kindness, the kind that only grows through time. And that is needed. There is a generation beneath you who needs your wisdom. There is a neighbor who needs your smile. There is a child who needs your laughter. There is a friend who needs your phone call. You are not done giving. You are just giving in a new way. Say it with confidence. I still have something to offer. Because you do. You always have. And you always will. These 5 affirmations are not just words. They are mirrors. They reflect back to you what is still true, even if the world has forgotten to say it. You can say them in the morning. You can say them while taking a walk. You can whisper them when you feel lonely. You can repeat them when you feel uncertain or unseen. You can write them down and keep them by your bedside. You can post them on the fridge. You can speak them aloud in the car or sing them in the shower. There's no rule, only rhythm. Only the gentle rhythm of reminding yourself over and over that your life still holds beauty, meaning, and depth. In the final part of this video, I'll share how you can turn these affirmations into a small but powerful daily habit. We'll also hear one more story from someone who turned a quiet sentence into a lifelong change. But before we go there, let me ask you this. Which of these affirmations speaks to you the most today? Say it again, and let it settle into your bones like warmth on a cold day, because you deserve that comfort, and you are not alone on this path. We'll take the next step together, a new habit of inner kindness. So here we are, at the gentle close of our time together. We've taken a quiet walk through the heart of something often overlooked, how we speak to ourselves, and more importantly, how those words can shape not only our mindset, but our health, our days, and our sense of purpose. We've learned that the voice inside your head is powerful, and it can be softened. We've explored the possibility that joy, rest, value, and love don't disappear. With age, they simply shift form. And we've spoken 5 simple phrases together, words that have the potential to transform your mornings, your self-worth, your peace of mind. Now, I want to leave you with something that may stay with you even longer. A small, daily ritual. You see, healing doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't come in grand gestures or breakthroughs. It comes quietly, consistently, in small acts that tell your body and mind, you are safe now. You are loved. You are still growing. That's what an affirmation habit is really about. Not about pretending life is easy, but about choosing to live gently, especially with yourself. So, how can you begin? You don't need apps. You don't need a special notebook. You don't even need perfect timing. You just need a few minutes, a quiet place, and a willingness to show up. Here's what I suggest. Step 1. Choose one affirmation each week. Start with the one that feels warmest. Maybe it's, I am enough. Maybe it's, joy is still possible for me. You don't have to force it. Just choose one and let it live with you for 7 days. Step 2. Say it aloud in the morning, as you brush your teeth, as you pour your tea, as you open the curtains. Say it gently, even if you're whispering. Look yourself in the mirror, even if only for a second. Let it land. Step 3. Repeat it at moments of doubt. When you forget something, when the body aches, when you feel tired, lonely, or unsure. Come back to the phrase. Let it be your anchor. You don't have to solve everything. Just speak kindly. Step 4. Write it down. Put it on your fridge. Slip it into your wallet. Tape it to the bathroom mirror. Sometimes, seeing the words is just as powerful as saying them. Step 5. Reflect at night. Before bed, ask yourself, did I live this truth today, even just a little? And if you didn't, that's okay. Tomorrow is another chance, and you're allowed as many chances as you need. I want to share a final story with you, one that stayed with me for years. A woman named June, she was 89 when I met her, lived in a small home filled with quilts, books, and sunlight. She'd lost her husband decades before. Her children had moved away. Her body had slowed, but her spirit, as bright as ever. Every morning, she lit a candle and said the same 5 words. Today, I choose to begin again. She said it when she felt strong. She said it when she felt sad. She said it on days when her arthritis made her hands stiff, and on days when her heart missed someone deeply. It became a rhythm, like a breath. When I asked her why that phrase, she smiled and said, because there's no rule that says I can't start over at 89. That's the heart of affirmation. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about remembering the truth of who you already are, and returning to it, one word at a time. So now I ask you, what words will you choose to carry into tomorrow? What kind voice will you offer to yourself when no one else is around? What small, quiet truth will you hold on to when the world feels noisy or heavy? You are not too old to speak gently to yourself. You are not too far along to form new habits. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every season of life has beauty. Every day brings a new page, and your story is far from over. So speak softly, start simply, and know this: you are worthy of love, especially from yourself. Thanks for spending your time with us here at Senior Health. Remember, your health journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress, one gentle step at a time. If today's video brought you clarity or comfort, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who might benefit. We're here to grow healthier together. See you next time. And until then, stay kind to your body and your mind.